ready to hear some noise tonight. You're just seconds away from Let's Go Blues Radio.
No doubt about it, eh? You're listening to Kurt, Bill, and Jeff on Let's Go Blues Radio, the original St. Louis Blues hockey fan podcast. Take it away, boys.
Come on, St. Louis hockey fans, stand up and cheer. The Blues are back strong. This is our year. It's the Blues' turn now.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yeah, it's the Blues' turn now. With that Al McKinnon slap shot, you know we can't lose. We are St. Louis, the home of the Blues. Come on, St. Louis. Come on, St. Louis. Come on, St. Louis.
Let's do that hockey.
Come on, St. Louis. All over the hockey universe, the note is the news. Everybody's digging on the St. Louis.
Welcome to Season 7, Episode 20 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, the one who started it all, Let's Go Blues Radio. We're live on Wednesday, November 7th, 2018. This is franchise episode number 153 all-time. My name is Kurt Price, and I'm here with Bill Day and Jeff Ponder once again. To interact with us or the show on social media, you can follow us on Twitter, where most of our show interaction takes place. It's at LGB Radio. And you can send us tweets, and we'll read them on the air if you'd like. Mine, Kurt Price. Bill's is at Billy Blue Note, and Jeff's is at JPonder94. Also, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and the website is letsgoblues.com. If we have time later, and if you want to talk some hockey, we'll open the show up for you to join us. So check our Twitter account for that info, which again, at LGB Radio, when that time comes. Please check out the letsgoblues.com shop and consider buying a reasonably priced shirt, mug, or sticker. All proceeds go back into the show. And the Jeff, the Stanley Ponder Cup Memorial Tournament is 10 days away.
That's correct. Fellas, how we doing?
We're doing good. How are you?
Yeah.
Great.
How's the road?
Well, the road was very much traveled by me this week. So
Am I to understand you had poutines?
I did have some poutines, yes. I also had a poutine. No, so I started on Sunday with my travels. Took a flight. Was supposed to go to Ottawa for a hockey expo for my company. That routed me. You ready for this one? I went from St. Louis to Orlando to Ottawa.
Sounds about right.
So that was fun, especially with the fact that I was coming back on a Sunday night through Orlando. So that means all of the families with little kids who didn't want to leave Disney World were all leaving. So that was a fun plane ride, let me tell you. Screaming kids. Literally one kid punching his mother in the chest saying, "I don't want to go." And I'm just, oh, this is the worst. I need to get to Canada fast.
Kids.
Yeah, that was fun. So went to Ottawa, stayed there for 2 days, and then actually rode in a car back down to New Jersey, where my company's based. So it has been a lot of travel the last couple days, but I am coming to you live from the beautiful Garden State of New Jersey in Cranford, if anyone knows where that's at.
It's a very nice hotel room you got there. Was it a hotel room? What is it? What is that?
It's actually a coworker's house.
Coworker's house. Okay.
He's sitting right next to me watching the show.
It looks like a New Jersey house. I don't know what that means. But I have no idea.
I'll be happy to hear that.
I have no idea what that means.
And
he's on about a 5-second delay, so he's probably going to laugh here in a second.
is this the first time we've had a live studio audience? Because I think that qualifies.
Oh yeah.
That's true. That is true.
No need for a laugh track this show.
He is in studio. I'll cue him to laugh. I'll hold up a sign. Applause. So we're getting applause, everybody.
Hey.
So anyway, yeah, the Stanley Ponder Cup tournament. We'll go into that a little bit. 10 days away, so it means we'll have one more show before the tournament. We are all full. We filled up on Sunday with our last players, so thank you, Pat Shear, for signing up. And November 17th. It's in not this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after. For you St. Louisans, it's out at Queenie Park, Midwest Sport Hockey. And as I've said before, it's not just bad hockey that'll be played by a bunch of grown men. It's going to be a wonderful raffle with some really cool prizes. We've got a lot of really cool ones. It was looking thin about a month ago, and things just started pouring in. We got a Tarasenko jersey that just came in officially the other day. We got a couple of the house flags. One has the St. Louis, what's it called? The logo, the emblem for St. Louis on it.
Florida, Florida Lou.
Yeah.
Florida Lee.
Florida Lee. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fleur de
you
lis, whatever.
Man. Silly man.
Just like eating a couple poutines.
I'm not French.
So yeah, it's we got some really cool stuff. As I said before, Lake Erie Otters, Connor McDavid jersey, which is a pretty big deal. And then I found out that my mom was able to wrangle some really interesting things. I don't want to say what it is because I want to leave the intrigue open. It has nothing to do with hockey. Very cool stuff that she was able to get. So come on out November 17th. Starts at 2:00. Goes to about 10:30, and then bar stays open until about 1. The more beer we drink, the cheaper the rink is. So if you're just, what am I going to do Saturday night? Come out, have a couple beers, help us raise a little bit more money for charity. Hope to see you guys out there.
Blues Rants mentioned in the YouTube chat that he's watching us on his big screen TV. So
That's awesome.
That's kind of cool.
So my head looks even bigger than usual.
Hard to get there,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
it's
say.
I
happened.
know.
I feel sorry for his TV. We got some special guests later on in the show in a few minutes from the Teal Town YouTube webcast. They cover the San Jose Sharks, good friends of the show, Chris and Eric. So you can find their show on Twitter at Teal Town USA, but we'll talk with them here shortly. A lot of talk probably about the game on Thursday against the Sharks.
I don't know. I was thinking we could probably recap the last 2 games first. Probably open it up to the audience first.
Yeah. In about an hour and a half, we'll get to them.
Yeah. You guys mind just hanging out for, say something if you mind.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything. I guess we're good.
So what are the official beers of episode number 153? Bill. Well, Bill and I have the same beer.
Yes, we do. Four Hands Ill Repute, available only locally at Schnucks Markets.
Mm-hmm.
Imperial Pumpkin Stout, and it's pumpkiny.
It's pumpkiny, a little vanilla-y. Yeah, very pumpkiny actually.
Yeah.
And my camera's way over there. It's got a cool label.
Yeah, it's
No, it's not bad. It's good.
It's a good seasonal beer.
I like it.
It's not overwhelmingly pumpkin. It's not a pumpkin bomb by any means, but pumpkin's there.
Pumpkin spice, some vanilla, more pumpkin spice than a lot of pumpkin beers that I've had, but it's good. I like it. Good old Four Hands. Jeff, do they have beer in New Jersey?
Well, they do have beer in New Jersey. Surprisingly, I know how crazy. You know what is crazy? I think I might have actually mentioned this on a show before. A lot of the restaurants, it's BYOB.
Oh, really?
It's weird. It's weird. I've never seen that before. I don't know. I don't get it. But whatever. New Jersey's a bunch of crazy, weird people.
Gotta be a thing, right?
Right.
So I actually have a wonderful tie-in, and I'm gonna pitch this like it was completely intentional. So the beer that I have tonight is Joseph's Bra. I think that's how you say it, right? Joseph's Bra. He's giving me a funny look. From Trader Joe's. It's a Pilsner, Czech style lager. Pretty good. It goes down a little rough, but it's not bad. It's good. Brewed in San Jose, California. Did that totally intentionally.
Yeah, sure. That's a serendipitous thing.
Mm-hmm.
Today in Blues history, courtesy of the @STL Blues History Twitter account. If you don't follow them and you're a Blues fan, please do. You should be if you're not. Great information every day. 1968, November 7th, 1968. Red Berenson scores 6 goals in the greatest single game achievement in St. Louis Blues franchise history. And he tweeted out, I guess the Blues spent too much money on bringing Jerry Lawler in and couldn't afford to bring in Red last night to celebrate because he's talking about WWE night. So
yes, yes. Is that on the outline, or are we going to talk about that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
We'll talk about it. You can save any comments that you have for that part of the show.
I have comments,
but I think we all do. Berenson said that he explained that scoring goals was just like planting trees. When I read that, I was like, "What the f does that mean?" He goes, "Some years you plant 12 and 5 or 6 of them come up. Some years you plant 12 and none of them come up. Tonight, everything was going in." That's kind of halfway got there, I guess, with that.
Almost would prefer a bland
soundbite
hockey cliche.
Sure, yeah, that was a team effort.
Yeah,
it was a good team effort. My teammates got some good passes.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why hockey players don't try for metaphors.
Yeah, they're too busy planting trees.
Yeah, or being bad at metaphors.
Right. I don't know. One of the two. So we do have, like I said, we have some guests from the San Jose Sharks webcast called Teal Town. So Eric and Chris, we welcome Eric and Chris to the show. Their podcast covers the San Jose Sharks. If I'm not mistaken, their show is usually a post-game show following, obviously, the San Jose Sharks games. And we've done a few post-game shows in the past, and they're always a lot of fun. So, fellas, welcome to the show. How are you guys tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having us on. Always appreciative. Kurt, we've gone back a few years, so appreciate you having us on the podcast this evening.
Yep, same. Doing very well tonight. Glad to return the favor.
Hey guys, here's a Let's Go Blues Radio first. You ready for this? We have both coasts and the Midwest represented right now.
How about that?
How about that?
At least 3 different time zones. Yes,
that's true.
It could be. This is a rarity in podcasting. I'm sure of it. I mean, well,
yeah, we're doing more in one podcast than our politicians can do. We're bringing everyone together, the whole country. We're united.
We're not allowed to talk politics on this show.
Oh, damn.
Remember the one comment we had on
that's
iTunes?
Right, that's right.
They talk politics.
Trust me, being on the East Coast, Missouri is not in everyone's good graces right now. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, well, we mentioned politics one time for like 20 seconds, like 4 years ago.
Got a
scathing review. Yeah, scathing review for that. They talk politics too much. We did it one time for like 10 seconds.
Yes.
So, guys, a number of years ago, Fox Sports Midwest featured Let'sGoBlues.com in between the second and third periods of a game. I think it was against the Blackhawks, which I thought was pretty cool. But and I know a local San Jose news station featured your show a while back during one of their broadcasts. I was curious when I saw that. How did that come about? How did they contact you guys, or how did that work?
It started like, not to turn the knife after the wound, but it started after the Sharks won the West in 2016. They were looking. They were looking.
Next question. Anyway,
yeah, I know, right? Moving onward. So Darren Pang, he's awesome. But they were the station that contacted us. I knew the weather lady there and a couple other reporters, and they were trying to find a nice niche into covering the Stanley Cup Final with the Sharks being in it for the first time. And they had heard about us in the past and said, "Hey, do you mind if we talk about your show?" Because, you know, the coverage in the Bay Area for hockey and in Sharks is super minimal. Next thing you know, I have a camera crew in this room, and it's like, okay, you guys can back off a little bit. But yeah, we did it, and we went right to work. I think that was game 1 of the final too.
That's pretty cool. I know. So I guess and you've been doing a show for how long now? What'd you say?
We started doing live shows the beginning of 2015. I think January 5th, 2015 was the very first one. So we're about to hit 4 total years. We've hit a streak of a little over 300 consecutive live broadcasts. We haven't missed a game since late in the season 2015.
That's pretty cool. That's dedication.
That is definitely dedication.
We couldn't do that.
And a large crew of people. It's not just us on every show.
Oh, that's true. I've seen you guys kind of alternate a little bit every now and then.
Yeah, because we'd probably go crazy if we tried to hit all 82 each for 3 straight years.
Yeah. And I guess it all started with you guys because, like you said, the coverage for Sharks hockey was not as prevalent as you would like. That's the way it was for us here. The Hockey Talk in St. Louis. During the hockey season, they were talking more about Rams football and Cardinal baseball. It was the off season. They're talking more about that than they were for Blues hockey, and the coverage wasn't very good. So we wanted to talk hockey, so we started doing it, and we've been going strong for a while. So, and that I assume it's similar for you guys. What'd you say?
Yeah. Now imagine if you add one more football team and one more baseball team to that mix, and that's what we have to deal with. So we're like, we'll start our own media coverage with blackjack and hookers.
and don't forget, Steph Curry's ankle has more talk on sports radio than how are the Sharks doing on the power play? Yeah. It's just Steph Curry is wearing an ace ankle brace. It's in peach. We'll break it down on what fasteners he used tonight.
Well, there was quite a bit of talk about what's his face's neon compression arm sleeve. The Cardinals outfielder. They just acquired him.
Ozuna,
yes. He wore a neon.
Shows how much
he wore a neon compression arm sleeve for and that was like a huge deal. So why people complain about it. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the topic of conversation,
right? That supplants Blues.
Oh yeah, would supersede any kind of hockey talk. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So about the Sharks. So when I'll ask about Joe Thornton. When he came back, did you expect him to come back? Did you personally want him to come back, or what were your expectations surrounding that situation?
With Jumbo, we expected him to come back, even after a second knee injury. He said as long as the team wants to be around, he wants to be a Shark for life, and he would fit in with the salary cap. And he took a pay cut. Considering $5 million is a pay cut, must be nice. But right? Yeah, we expected him to be coming back, but we also were concerned, about how much ice time he was getting at training camp. And then, sure enough, after the second game of the season, he's out for a while, and we were definitely concerned, but the team kind of got going after that.
So let me ask you, what was more concerning, the second knee injury or the fact that he shaved his beard?
Oh, definitely the beard.
Definitely the beard.
Were you guys pro beard or anti beard?
Oh, very much, very, very pro beard. It's kind of been their calling card for the last few years.
Okay, I prefer him, and I'm not against beards in general, but I think with Thornton, I just prefer him without a beard. He's got that gray stripe going down the middle, kind of, and it kind of looks like he's just a sloppy soup eater. You know what I mean?
He's got the racing stripe. When I grow out my beard, I get the exact same thing. Actually. I got like the white down there. I'm not even as old as he is.
And the funny thing is that they had so many marketing things planned around. Like later this season, they actually have a Joe Thornton fighting bobblehead with a piece of the beard coming off when he fought Nazem Kadri. And so it's like, okay, how are we supposed to do this? However, that being said, Jumbo, he shaved like right before the season began. I think he's already starting to get, a good solid facial chin curtain there.
Yeah, it takes him about 24 hours, I think. Regarding where you asked it, if we wanted him back, it's kind of a little bit of as long as he can contribute, we're happy to have him. But it's kind of it's a iffy question. Although it seems like they found, as of the other night, they found a role for him as a kind of more of like a third line guy. Put him with 2 fast young forwards, and that line was great just the other night.
We got a comment from the YouTube chat. Said that you guys look great and nice mic. So there you go. So Erik Karlsson, I'm sure I'm assuming excitement from you guys after you realized you'd acquired him. Was that what you guys were experiencing? I mean, the rest of the league kind of raised their eyebrows at the thought of Burns and Karlsson on your blue line. So your thoughts about the Karlsson acquisition?
I was definitely surprised on our end. I didn't expect that to happen. If you had asked me if I thought Tavares or Karlsson, which one I thought would more likely to come to San Jose, I would have said Tavares easily. But we're still trying to figure it out, because he hadn't noticed the point production isn't quite there yet. But it's going to happen. Like, you see enough great plays he makes. There's times where he looks lost. He's not quite comfortable yet, I think, on this team. But I don't think that's going to last the whole season. There's just no way.
I was going to ask that about, because Burns is tearing it up, but Karlsson not quite as much. 7 assists in 15 games so far, so not his typical stat line. So I was going to ask how he looked to you, but you said you can tell it's there. It's just hasn't produced in points yet.
Yeah, he's definitely had some flashes in the pan, and definitely been getting more shots, and they've taken time to figure out where to slot him defensively. They've been playing around. Originally it was with Vlasic, now he's with Brendan Dillon. But the power play, they were kind of like, let's put both out together. And that was just a little bit of a nightmare. Now they've kind of figured it out a little bit, and it's just a matter of time before he lights the lamp.
So is it a case that he's snake bit? Or is he just not getting opportunities?
I think definitely snake bit is part of it, because he's been getting a lot of shots towards the net. He's had a lot of them blocked, and part of that is just the way the Sharks tend to throw pucks at the net. They get a lot blocked already, but he's definitely had a lot of chances that just were that close. So I think part of it's snake bit, and part of it is I think at times he, like I say, especially on the defensive end, he's looked a little bit lost and not always comfortable. Also, when he's been out on the ice with Burns is kind of a unique player to play with. He's kind of a wild man, very unpredictable. So I think that's a big thing, is comfort level plus not always the best of luck.
So I wanted to ask you guys about Timo Meier. He's a guy that for me that was kind of always talked about a little bit, but when I watch him play, it just seems like he plays a very dominating game. What about his game is making him stand out so much in the Sharks lineup?
I think it's a combination of speed, the size he is, and he's got a great shot. I mean, when he was in juniors, he was pretty much quarterbacking the power play. When he was in, I'm going to try and get this right, Noranda and Halifax down the road. He definitely just seemed like he was getting his shot going, and he would just take a ton of shots early on, and now he's kind of being a little more selective, and he's definitely getting a lot more vision and a lot more shot off. I remember the game against the Rangers where he went, far side top shelf, and I thought, what a shot that is to pick that corner. And but he's been really solid.
I think definitely it's been increasing shot quality, but also I think the opposite of what I've seen from Erik Karlsson, where he just looks comfortable out there. I have yet to see a single moment this season where I'm like, he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. Because you see with most players, you'll see that at some point, unless they've been with the team for 10 years, they'll have a moment where they're kind of caught in the wrong spot. And he's always been in the right spot. He's always been charging up the ice. And I think that's a big part of it. He's very, very comfortable now in the system.
Coming into the season, what were your thoughts on the Sharks? What were your expectations? And has the team's play so far changed anything as far as your preseason expectations at all?
For me, I think going into the season before the Carlson trade, I thought, maybe top 3. We had heard, okay, Vegas is going to be so great this year, and LA, watch out, they got Kovalchuk, and watch out for that duo, Perry and Getzlaff. They're going to be like dominating, and then we got Erik Karlsson. Oh my God. That definitely changed.
You guys are so sad about that.
How many Stanley Cup parade routes got planned?
Oh gosh, they'll probably use the same one that they used in 1994 after they got eliminated by Toronto.
We don't talk about that. That's a story to itself. But our expectations, I think, before and after Karlsson are two different things. Because before it's like, this team, if they have the right matchups, everything clicks. Some guys have good years, could definitely make noise in the playoffs. But it's like with Karlsson, it's like, okay, the expectation now is Western Conference Finals, Stanley Cup. I mean, obviously letdowns happen, but the expectations are a lot higher. I think the main thing is just trying to figure out how to shuffle these D-men properly. Because, I mean, it's a good problem to have. You have Vlasic, you have Burns, and, poor Braun and Dillon, pretty good defensemen. They are number 4 and 5 on this team. And, any other roster, they're probably at least, in probably a top 3 or 4 easily. So, it's the expectations are definitely higher now.
Sounds like you guys could use some lower pair D guys.
You want any?
How about Jay Bouwmeester?
Yeah, you got a need for a Jay Bouwmeester on your roster.
We're okay.
I mean, you can have him for nothing.
Maybe a puck bag.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Martin Beard bobbleheads.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
I'll trade you a few San Jose beers for him.
I take it.
Yep.
Sold. Done. Sucker.
Funny you mentioned that you're talking about a Burns and Jimbo bobblehead.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
So goaltending has been a hot topic of conversation in St. Louis. Martin Jones for the Sharks hasn't put up great numbers so far. He's got a 2.72 GAA and his save percentage is just a tick under 9. So do you guys how's the team been in front of him? So do you guys attribute those numbers to the team in front of him, or is that more on Jones or a combination thereof? Because in St. Louis, there are staunch factions of Allen supporters. It's all about the team in front of him is just not carrying their weight, and they're hanging him out to dry. And then there's the camp of Allen people that Allen's not good enough. He's just not number 1 goalie in the NHL. He needs to go. So where do you guys sit with Jones as far as his numbers? They're probably not where you want them to be, but what would you attribute those numbers?
I mean, I think it's been one part the team in front of him, but he's honestly let in some real stinkers this year. Like the team hasn't always done him favors. They've put him in bad spots here and there, but they're almost every other game he lets in one where it's like, that was not a good goal. Whether it's just guy at an odd angle, getting a shot in that shouldn't get in, not closing the 5-hole, things like that. So I'm kind of, Jones isn't as controversial as Jake Allen. I know how controversial he is with Blues fans, but there is definitely a small faction of Sharks fans that I count myself among that I think he's a good number 1 goalie, but he's not a great number 1 goalie. I don't think he's elite. And I think he can definitely have his not so great streaks, but he can also get on a run, like he did in the Stanley Cup Finals a couple years ago, where he basically, without him, they probably get swept by the Penguins. So he can be great. And really that's what you need. Because I mean, if you look at just historically which goalies win over the last 20 years, you don't have to have an elite goalie. You just need to have a goalie that's good enough, with a team in front of him good enough, playing well enough.
Yeah, I think that is what we were hoping for with Allen this season because of the changes the Blues made to the forward core in the offseason. There's a handful of new, it's like half the forward group is new. So we're thinking, okay, well, with the season that Allen had last year was pretty bad. So one of the worst in the NHL actually. But we were hoping for something average. If he can be an average NHL goalie, I think that should be fine. The team in front of him has not played as well as expected in our own zone, and he has let in a number of goals that he should have had. So it's been a combination. So I think there's probably some similarities there between Jones and Allen, but as you know, Allen's pushing a 4 GAA. It's 3.99. Is that what it is?
Right. The Blues this year have one game where they have given up less than 3 goals. That was last night's game.
Yeah.
And Jake Allen was not in net.
He was not in net. And Bouwmeester was scratched.
Oh, those are some rough numbers. Yeah, I was looking that up before the show here. Like,
oh yeah,
he is not having a good year. I mean, he has time to rebound, but man, that is pretty rough.
Yeah, if you, some people are adamant though that it's not him, it's the team in front of him. So it's a debate that it's been going on for quite a while.
Right.
I want to point out it was 2 games.
2 games?
2 games. Yeah, before last night was 1 game. Last night was the other game. The other we beat Toronto 4-1.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
In Toronto.
I
should know that.
Right.
Yeah. But no, on the subject of Jake Allen, we go back to the first game of the season and him getting booed. You know, that if we expected to have any kind of confidence coming into the season and he's getting Bronx cheered for touching the puck in the third period, it destroyed all of his confidence if there was any to begin with. And
yeah,
it's just he's not recovering, and it's not a good sign.
He's a fragile goalie. Would you guys say Jones is a fragile? I guess to some degree all goalies can be considered somewhat fragile at different levels, but Allen seems really, really fragile mentally. Where would you put Jones is Jones on the spectrum?
I would say he's actually pretty well on the other end in the sense of like, it's actually very typical of him to let in, like the bad goal is usually the first one he lets in, and then he usually locks it down, and, you know, rather than shattering his confidence, usually it doesn't cascade. It usually goes the other direction where, you know, he might let in a stinker, but then one more goal the entire rest of the game. So I think he's actually pretty good at being resilient. I mean, I don't think he's ever been booed, which that would be rough to get booed by your own fans, but I think he's usually pretty good at bouncing back even within a game.
Yeah, I think with the Blues team, it seems to be where if Allen lets up a goal that a lot of people think he should have had, or it was a stoppable shot, it seems to affect the team in front of him. And I think that's been the case too often this year, where it's kind of a snowball effect, where if a softish-ish goal goes in, the team kind of deflates. So that's kind of the problem.
Let's face it, when you're giving up at least 3 goals a night, there's a much higher percentage chance that one of those was a softie.
Right. And we're scoring a lot of goals. Yeah. Goal scoring is not the problem. I mean, they've changed lines around, and we're still scoring goals. But the problem is the play on our own end, and the goaltending not making enough saves on stoppable shots. So what would you guys say is the biggest surprise so far early in the season for the Sharks for you guys?
I would definitely say Timo Meier's been a big surprise at how much goal scoring he's done this season. Always nice to have, like, the whole line, I think, was coming together with Logan Couture, Tomas Hertl, and Timo Meier. They've really come into their own, and especially when Joe Thornton was out, trying to find that top line. And now they've found one, and they found one for the future too, which was highly critical as Joe Thornton and Joe Pavelski are on their contract years. So definitely that. You can even say maybe even Marcus Sorensen, who got a big goal last night in the game against Minnesota, along with Antti Suomela, who the Sharks have found that European niche that you usually pick up here and there. A few years ago was Melker Karlsson. Then a year after that, Jonas Donskoy. And they find these little nuggets in Europe. And Suomela also had a nice breakaway goal last night. So they're definitely finding their surprises here and there, but they also can revert to their big guys to come through in a timely manner.
I'd say not to recap anything Eric said there, but I think the main thing that surprised me is how clear it's been. We are in the post-Thornton, post-Marlowe, even post-Pavelski era, truly now, which was unthinkable a few years ago, is those three guys were like the bedrock of this franchise, and now this is very much the team of Logan Couture, Tomas Hertl, and now Timo Meier.
Biggest disappointment for the Sharks this year?
I'll go the obvious, Erik Karlsson, and I'll let Eric pick something a little less obvious. But I mean, obviously we were hoping for more, but I mean, there's tons of time to rebound. Like I said, I don't think it's going to stay that way. Like I just have, I don't see it happening. But so far, yeah, hasn't really shined yet.
Kind of piggybacking off of what Chris was saying, more so the defense. The defense was expected to have massive amounts of goals and points. Vlasic had a career year last year. Justin Braun, likewise. I'm just quickly going through it, but Vlasic has just 5 assists. Braun has 3 assists. Joakim Ryan, who's what we call the Burns Whisperer, only has 2 assists on the campaign. So Brendan Dillon and Brent Burns are the only defensemen for the Sharks that have scored goals, and that's 4 in the 15 games so far. So definitely the defensive unit all around, and especially early on they were having some issues trying to work together. And of course the line blender that is Peter DeBoer definitely plays into that. So hopefully that changes things down the road.
So San Jose sits in second place in the Pacific, third in the conference, 8-4-3 with 19 points. You guys won last night, 4-3 versus the Wild. Thank you very much. 6-2-2 in your last 10, 4-2-2 on the road this season, and they are in St. Louis tomorrow.
Friday.
Friday.
I just texted you that. Try to preempt that.
Right. Sorry. You almost did it too.
Yeah, we go Thursday night against Dallas, and then hopefully beat them for you guys, and then it's on like Donkey Kong on Friday.
Yeah. Well, at least on back-to-back
game. That should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You guys consider the Blues a rival? I know for a long time the Blues fans considered the Sharks a rival because of stem from playoff matchups we had, I think, in back-to-back years. Owen Nolan's centerized goal on Turek, Thornton's hit on Perron, and then the 2016 playoffs. I mean, I don't know if Blues fans since the playoffs, for some reason, it doesn't seem like it's from the Blues perspective as big a rivalry as it was like before. What's your guys' thoughts on is there a rivalry there, or is it just was there at one time, and what do you guys think?
There is, especially back, I think, in 2000 when Chris Pronger was a part of it, and those 2001 series were classic ones. I even remember hearing that Chris Pronger said in 2004 that the Blues got the matchup they wanted. That was locker room material, and that definitely changed. But yeah, definitely a rivalry going on. I think if I don't mistaken, Chris, maybe you can back me up on this. I think that they've played the Blues the most times in the playoffs. I think they're tied with Detroit back in the day when we were facing off against the Red Wings all the time for most playoff series against one team.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I don't have that right in front of me, but I think you're right on that. But I would consider a rival in a similar sense to the way I consider the Red Wings rival. Like, it's not an active, like, all the time rivalry, but there's a pretty rich history there. Like, with the Red Wings, I consider the Red Wings and the Blues much more rivals than I consider the Coyotes our rival, even though we're in the same division. Because honestly, there's the history with the Coyotes is division games and Mike Smith annoying us. That's pretty much it. So I would definitely say, given the history there, I would say kind of a rival, but I mean, not quite like I feel about the Ducks or the Kings or, the Canucks. They're not the same vitriol.
Who are the Coyotes right
I was just going to ask that question. Is anyone a rival with the Coyotes?
The Ducks.
Relevance.
Oh, wow.
I would say the city of Glendale. But
Yep.
Oh man, the poor Coyotes are just taking it on this one.
You know what? They've. I don't know about them.
They're used to it.
I guess like a punching bag. The punching bag of the NHL.
Yeah. Sooner or later, Clayton Keller will leave there and come home and be happy. And he's the only reason I would ever turn on a game involving the Coyotes at this point.
So, what can Blues fans expect from the Sharks on Friday? Not Thursday, on Friday.
Back to back.
I have Thursday all over the notes here. I don't know why I have that.
Well, I would think they're going to come in hungry. I mean, Erik Karlsson is due. He's been definitely getting a lot of chances. Burns is still going to be Burnsy. We're not sure on Tomas Hertl. He took a hit on Saturday against Philadelphia, so he might be a game time decision for both back-to-backs. But Chris, I'm not sure, but Dell might get the start on Friday while Jones starts in Dallas on Thursday.
Yeah, I would expect, I don't know if it'll be that way or reverse, but I expect that Dell will start one of those two games. The Sharks have been really hard to peg this season because they've had some great games. They've had some stinkers. They've had some great first periods and terrible second and thirds. So the inconsistency is a little maddening, but it's hard to tell which Sharks team will show up. And that's where I say I think that's going to eventually, they're going to find that consistency. But the hot and the cold makes me like they could show up and they could steamroll. They could also show up and cede a lot of shots, against the Wild in the first period yesterday. I think they had like 2 shots in that period, which pretty low for the team that was leading the league in shots. I don't know if they still are as of yesterday, but I know they were a few days ago. So they can, it's very hard to peg them, if I'm being totally honest.
Well, nice job beating the Wild because they destroyed us. They beat us up and down the rank. It wasn't even a contest.
It was the best team performance that I had seen all season.
Yeah. So and I would, and actually Blues fans would like to have the Sharks inconsistencies this season because the Blues have been hot and cold, but there's just been more cold than hot. So
Consistently bad.
I'd love to tell you what Blues team to expect on Friday, but we went into Toronto and beat Toronto and we beat Vegas, which is not, they're struggling. That's not a whole lot this year, but and we've got some good wins this season. We had a 4-1 win last night that we didn't look good at all in.
No,
and
second period was awful.
It was awful, and we were outshot 2-1 for the game, and we won 4-1. Just a weird game.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what's going to happen on Friday with the Blues. I mean, Johnson played very well against Carolina last night, and I'd imagine that it's maybe a toss-up now who starts on Friday.
Well, if Mike Yo's still the coach, it'll probably be Jake Allen.
He's the number one technically, but I mean, Johnson's been better this year. I mean, he's only had a few starts, but still.
Yeah. And we can cover this more, but
right.
It should be Johnson's goal to lose at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
he made saves.
He did. He made saves. Yeah,
and that's the bar that we're talking about right now.
Right. So I'd like to. we're at home, which again doesn't mean a whole lot because we've been hit or miss on this homestand. The 7-game homestand too, which is something that okay, we'll get back on track with a 7-game homestand. Not yet. I mean, it's been up and down. So.
Yeah,
this sounds very, very familiar to us. If there's one thing the Sharks can do, though, if you're looking for some confidence for Jake Allen, they can manage to throw a lot of rubber at a goalie, and just that goalie will have the night of his life. That just happens on occasion where they do that. They'll pelt some backup goalie 40 pucks, and the goalie just for the night he looks like Lundqvist or Marty Brodeur.
You know what? We talked about this. I was on, I think, your show in 2016. I think it was post-game show after like the first game of the playoff series.
I believe it was game 1. Yeah.
Okay. So it was like I was happy about that game, but not so much the rest of the series. But we talked about the similarities between the Blues and Sharks then, about the history of like the underperforming or the letdowns or the good teams but not getting over the hump, stuff like that. So there's a lot of similarities this season too with what you guys are saying, even though your record is much better than ours right now. And so I think it's fitting that these teams do have a semi rivalry because they are similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a playoff history there of frustrating fans and looking great in the regular season and coming really close at times. Yeah, I think we understand you guys like we understand Canucks fans. Well, no one understands Canucks fans, never mind. But we know about the torture. We know about getting so close, but just not there. It's what makes it fun though. Sorry.
Yeah, we've just been doing it twice as long, suffering twice as long. So that's, I guess.
You guys had your 25th, right? You just had the 25th and 17, and that was our 50th. So
yeah.
It's pain is pain.
I always say though, that's what'll make the eventual cup that much more fun. Is all of those years of suffering.
Oh yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
I hear you. I mean, if St. Louis when they win one, whenever that day comes, I think the city would go bananas. The Cardinals have won world championships before, and the city goes nuts. The Rams won, the city won, but it would not be because the Cardinals have won them before, so people have done this before. It's like, okay, we've done it before, but for the first one, I mean. For a long suffering fan base, 50 plus years, it would be a big deal. It'd be a huge deal. So hopefully it comes sooner rather than later. And for you guys too, just not, hopefully after ours.
little less years, but still pretty long tenure. And we just saw the Giants, win for the first time in 50 something years. I believe 56, if I remember right. It was quite a long time. They broke that drought. The Warriors won for the first time in 40 years, a few years back. So, and it felt like the first time in both those cases for a lot of people because it was in their lifetime.
Well, as far as the Blues are concerned, I mean, I guess you guys are going to keep an eye on O'Reilly. He's been fantastic this season. He's been like one of the huge bright spots for the Blues. He's putting up points. I mean, we scored one goal against Minnesota, and he was in on that. So he's been like an 8-game point streak going, or 7, whatever it is, 8 game. He's been fantastic.
Hands down the best player on this team.
Hands down. Shen is probably questionable for the game. He's been hurt. Schwartz is struggling. Has 1 goal this season, I think it is.
Yeah, and looks 3 paces slow.
He does. He looks slow for some reason. Obviously, the goaltending is not where we want it to be. Defensive zone coverage is not really there yet. So offense is good. I mean, we might put up some goals, but we're gonna probably give some up too. So it'll be an old Smythe Division game back in the 90s. Maybe.
If it's a crazy game, I don't know. I've been enjoying some of these 6-5, 7-6 games that have kind of been coming in and out, but man, that's torture on the heart too.
Well, Robert Thomas for the Blues too. He played in his 9th game of the season, so there's a decision to make for him. if he's a Blues blue chip prospect. So he's played, he's been good at times this year, and
tremendous vision and hands.
Oh yeah, you can tell he's a player. You can tell he's really good, but obviously he's a rookie, and so he's going to have his growing pains. But so if he plays on Friday, then he's going to burn a year of his contract, so he's going to be with the team the whole season pretty much.
The alternative being that he goes back to junior because he's
Right.
not AHL eligible.
Right, he's too young to play in the AHL, so if they send him down, he has to go to the OHL, and they think he's learned all he can learn there, so it's either NHL or juniors, which is an odd situation, but it is what it is. So if he plays on Friday, then he's that's a big decision. Probably they're going to make tomorrow.
Yeah, and given the way the Blues are run, they'll probably not play him, punt the decision for another game.
I you know what I mean. I think he would learn more up here.
I think so too.
I think he should play, rest him every so often, so because it's a long season for him. I would be on the board with keeping him up here, especially with Shen maybe not playing for a while. Injuries happen. Keep him up here. Because Soshnikov's going to go down too at some point, so keep him up here.
Yeah, he probably got an injury just walking into the elevator.
Where can everyone listening find you guys online, your show and your social media stuff?
So you can find me. I'm on Twitter at ChrisJWS. You can also find our show, Teal Town USA, on Twitter. We are on YouTube. We just hit the 1,000 subscriber mark on there, something we're very proud of. So, we are after every post game. We also release a handful of different interviews. We've had pretty much every Sharks broadcaster on there. We've had a handful of notable media people. Had our former broadcaster Drew Remenda on, very popular draw for us, and occasionally a fun live stream here and there. And I think that covers everything. We put out a lot of content. So,
and like we mentioned before, we go on after every game on our YouTube channel, and of course, that's on Teal Town USA. That's our Twitter handle. For me, I'm PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and Instagram, so you can definitely check us out there.
And I assume you guys will be doing a post-game show after Friday's Blues and Sharks game, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So
it might be from the bar since it's Friday night, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, if you want to hear a post-game show about the after the Friday's Blues and Sharks game, you can check their show out.
And I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say that Erik Karlsson's goal drought is going to end in that Friday. If it doesn't end tomorrow in Dallas, it will end. Because, transitioning into that game last night, man, the Blues allowed so many people just to walk straight down the slot last night.
Yeah,
Karlsson's going to have a field day.
So as far as the second half of back-to-backs for the Sharks recently, are they a good team on second half back-to-backs, or they struggle, or how have they fared, or do you recall?
Or go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not quite sure, but they've always had a rough time at the end of road trips. They're kind of like the ones that just try to all right, we're good. Let's get on the road and get back home, especially in this sense because they finished a 4-game homestand and they're in the middle of 10 of 12 at home, and they have this quick blip back to back, and then they go back home and play Calgary on Sunday.
Yeah, so looking at their schedule, they did have – this is only their second back-to-back of the season. And on their first back-to-back, they walloped Philadelphia on the second half of that 8-2. So I guess they've done okay, at least on the second half, although they lost 4-0 to New York the day before. And that wasn't even really a true back-to-back because that was like a Monday morning game or something really weird, Canadian Thanksgiving or whatever.
All right. Well, I hope it's not 8-2 on Friday.
But Gritty was talking so much smack on Twitter. He was
funny.
He was saying, Sharky loser has to change their name to Guppy, and just going on. Then he was like quiet for like the quietest 24 hours he's had since he was introduced.
Sharky just lit him up like nothing else.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming on. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again sometime soon.
Definitely. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Definitely have a lot of blues fans that follow me. So appreciate it. And thanks for the kind kudos.
Keep up the good work, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Always great to have those guys on.
Good talk.
Yeah.
So into the awful loss to Minnesota on Saturday.
Do we have to?
I don't want to talk about it too much. I did want to talk about, well, it was WWE night. So not only did the fans have to put up with incessant wooing, but they had to see an awful effort on the ice, which was just, I can't imagine being in the arena that night. Just everything combined with the atmosphere and then the play on the ice, just like, get me out of here.
I would have got thrown out.
I as a kid, I said this on Twitter. As a kid, I loved wrestling. As a kid, loved wrestling. WWF, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Macho Man, loved it. It's fantastic. It's fun.
But I hit a certain age and I was done with it.
Well, yeah, I outgrew it. And
we were talking about, I was talking about this at work, trying to figure out that exact age that I was done with it.
I think it was when I realized it was actually real. It was not real.
Yeah.
I remember my dad coming by when my brother and I were watching on TV in the basement, and he goes, "It's not real, I was, shut up, Dad. Shut up."
Yeah. Yeah. But was it that moment, or was it when you finally took it into your heart and said, "Yeah, this is not real"?
And I don't know. I but you know what? It's funny because and of course I guess the diehards will say, they break bones, they get cuts. I mean, yeah, I know. It's all scripted though. I mean, it's.
I opened myself up for 5 stitches doing flooring the other day.
Nice. Wow.
Nobody filmed that.
No. I mean, it's going to performance. If it's entertainment, it's not. It's weird. Okay, but anyway, so. First 2 Minnesota goals were, that first deflection. Oh my God. First off, for those that don't know, he's trying to get it on net. He's trying to get the puck on net.
Are you talking about Stahl?
Stahl's the very first goal. He's trying to get it on net. He's trying to deflect it, just get on net or get close to the net. And it ended up being one of the most amazing deflections you'll see.
Turn the stick over.
God.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But let me ask you, have you gone back to watch the replay? Can you tell me where Jake Allen was?
Oh, he was down on his knees near post.
In the goal. He was
back in the net?
He was back behind the goal line. At least half his body was behind the goal line. It's a hell of a deflection. But he's too fucking deep.
Yeah, but in Allen's defense, the shot was like 10 feet wide. I mean, it was not even. It was not even close.
What's he doing in his? What's he doing in the net?
Fucking deep for a shot coming from the point. You don't need to be that deep in your net.
I don't. It wasn't a shot though. It was way wide. I mean, it was like 10 foot wide.
But again, what are you doing in your net? It doesn't make sense. That's not an excuse.
No, I'm just saying I'm not an Allen defender in general. I'm just saying that
sounds like you are.
I'm just saying that goal I'm not going to put on a goalie because I don't think anybody stops that one, or I don't think anybody can be expected to stop that one.
I agree, but I just think Allen's positioning was horrendous.
I'll never defend. I'm not going to defend his positioning in general because I think it's been bad this season, but in the last 2 years. But so, and the second one off Petro's stick. Okay, he could have challenged more too on that one, but maybe he gets a piece of it. He comes out a couple more feet, but again, deflection. It went by him. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. O'Reilly scores on the power play from Tarasenko. Beautiful goal. Nice. Of course, it's O'Reilly. So, and the third Minnesota goal, which got a lot of attention, was the Bouwmeester turnover. And of course, Allen can't stop breakaway, so they scored.
You mean the play where Jay Bouwmeester stick handled in front of the Blues bench for 4 seconds, allowed somebody to close on him and poke the puck away?
He skated into the boards and into traffic and ran out of room. Pietrangelo was open on the near side, or he could have just dumped the damn thing in. but he indecisive, panicked, made no move, then tried to just bank it off the boards, and it didn't go in, and it went the other way off a body, and then they have a breakaway and they score. So, and then Yo's comments about Bouwmeester after the game about him not being at fault, and he didn't have any options. That's what he said. And I was like, I and that's to me, this is why I named the show the way I did, because the way Yo is with Yo's comments about the team and making excuses for the team, and his line choices and who he scratches and who he doesn't scratch. That's why I named the show this.
It's like there's a horse loose in a hospital. I think eventually everything's going to be okay, but I have no idea what's going to happen next.
So there's that. And
Great skit.
It is. And so the title of this, the name of the show is There's a Horse Loose in the Hospital, because that is how I kind of have perceived Yo's coaching this season, because a lot of his stuff just does not make any sense whatsoever.
He's as confused as you are.
So, and when he does make a decision, like when he says he's going to start Jay Bouwmeester, on top pairing with Pietrangelo.
Oh, that's what I thought you'd say, you dumb fucking horse.
So,
is your skit over?
Yeah.
So you can see Kurt at the Helium Comedy Club,
right? And
every Saturday night.
And then social media goes ballistic.
Then you go to brunch with people and they're like, there shouldn't be a horse in the hospital. And it's like, we're well past that.
So yeah, and yeah. So anyway, that's just kind of after the game. I was like, you got to be, I don't know. And he's just falling on the sword for Bouwmeester probably by protecting a player and not trying not to call him out. But he has no problem calling out younger players.
Did you actually read his? Did you read his quote here? I don't think you did. Right?
Part of it.
For those that didn't see it, his what he said about the exact play was, quote, "The way I saw that play, yes, his job is to skate there. I think maybe he has an option. I think his support wasn't that great. I'm not going to pin it on one guy there." Okay, watch the overhead replay. Alex Pietrangelo is wide fucking open. Wide open on the other side where there's nobody forechecking him. And you slide the puck to Pietrangelo, he at least gets the puck in. He had plenty of options.
I agree. Pietrangelo was the obvious option. But if he's not going over there, his other option is to dump the puck. There's always an option to dump the puck. What he did was never an option. You don't skate into somebody and then just you're a defenseman. You're the last guy back, basically, and you're skating into traffic and just and it was a stupid decision. And I don't like I said, I'm sure Yo was just covering for his defenseman, but it's kind of frustrating to hear him talk about younger players, about how his comments on Thomas about after his 9th game said, wow, you've got to bring a complete game to, play in the NHL.
No, you don't.
And I'm like, what, where the fuck was that logic when you're making the decisions you're making with some other people on the roster? And it doesn't make any, obviously he's just treating players differently based on experience, which I get to some degree, but when you're not being fair about it, that's a problem. It doesn't make any sense.
So I think part of that has to do with, Mike Yeo, the guy that never made it all the way in the pros, in his career's cut short by an injury. He's going to give the guys that have been there for a while much more leeway than he is the rookies. We've talked about this, and this is kind of the conclusion that I've come to. We've talked about this ad nauseum, the veteran bias on the team. And, we haven't talked so much about how veterans often get a free pass, but it's always the rookies. It's always the young guys. And we talk about how they're the ones that are always make one mistake and you're sitting. But
Yeah.
it's
You know what, and you know what's was frustrating about the play is that when after Bouwmeester turned it over, and it's a clear-cut breakaway, I have no faith whatsoever that that's not going to that the save is being made.
No,
it's just
we've said that Jake Allen doesn't stop breakaways.
He is statistically, and I can't remember where I saw this. Somebody broke it down. He is statistically the worst in the NHL at breakaways.
Yeah, he's the worst at saves above average, meaning he doesn't have any.
So
there are so many statistical categories that he is the worst at, which is painful that we have to say he is our number one.
Let's see. The fourth goal was, I didn't think it was a good goal either, to be honest, on Allen. It was a wrister that went through him.
Yeah.
And he seemed to just kind of miss it. Didn't pick it up right away and kind of missed it.
Yeah.
Final score 5-1. And more calls for Yo to be fired, rightfully so, I think.
Yeah, I think had the news broke about Quenneville on Saturday before that game, that I had heard some things that the decision was made in Chicago on Friday, and if they announced it, that Yo would have been canned after that debacle.
It would not have shocked me. If he would have been fired. And I've said this before. I don't know. I mean, he's only been head coach for one full season. So it's hard to say that he's been given a long leash so far, but it seems like he has been. For some reason. I think just because of the way the team has underperformed. And I just want to say that I'm not, and I've said this before, I don't know why Yo would deserve a long leash. What has he accomplished? What has he won to warrant okay, well, he can ride this rough patch out. He'll recover from the poor last season. He can recover from this poor start because why? What makes somebody think that have the faith in him that he could do that?
Especially on a team that was basically built to win now.
Right.
This isn't the Edmonton Oilers of 5 years ago. This wasn't, okay, we got this new coach. Let's see how he does. And give him a leash of about 2 years. This is a team that Armstrong knows if he doesn't do something this year, he could be out of the job. And if not that, these players were brought in this summer to make a big difference. Now, it's different if you're losing every game 5-4 and you look good, but your goalie is just not bailing you out on those few chances he's getting. But the whole system has looked awful. And we talked about every week how bad the breakouts look, how bad the offensive zone. Yeah, they're scoring goals, but their cycling in the zone hasn't been phenomenal, and it should be by this point in the year. In the defensive scheme, which has just been a disaster all year. And then, like we've all said all year, the coaching decisions of who's playing, who's getting the most minutes, who's gonna not play in the next game, it's just, there's so many questions. And in a guy like Ken Hitchcock, I know Bill would probably even agree with this. He earned the right to say, okay, you're making some questionable moves here, but you've won a cup. You've gotten the team the first many, many times. So we're going to let you keep going until we see what happens here, and until a long streak of you not losing or you not winning. But Yo, he hasn't accomplished anything. So what are we waiting for the hook here for?
Right. What was his Central Division finishes? 4-4, 5-4?
4-4, 5-4-4, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
He's never finished higher than fourth in the Central, Minnesota and the Blues. And he's been given a team that's supposed to be good, and he's not winning with that either. So I'm not sure why the leash would be long.
Yeah.
If he had won a cup in the past or gone deep in the playoffs a couple times with the team, I get the idea that, okay, he's got the track record of doing this, and before he doesn't have that. So I don't think the leash should be very long with this team, with this payroll. Like you said, Jeff, with the team is supposed to win now. that's why a lot of people are saying, well, no, Yo's not going to get fired to the offseason. I really think if the team struggles for too much longer and is inconsistent and not playing up to expectations, Yo will be gone before it's too late to make the playoffs.
Well,
You're getting to that point quickly.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. And because you're what, 27th in the league, it's awful. So and you're almost to the point where you get to the 20 game mark, you're not going to be able to recover from this.
Well, we've already talked. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, there have already been two teams who have gotten off the bad starts, worse than expectations in the West, that have changed their coaches. And one of them just made a beloved man in this city and a winning NHL coach available.
Yeah.
Well,
good.
I know you're trying to segue there, which is a shame because I'm going to say something anyway.
No, that's
no, I mean, yeah, we've talked before about how it's a win now roster and how you can point to all the issues with this team, and it's just shocking at this point that, again, you look at a guy like someone that comes to mind is the team we were just talking about, Pete DeBoer. He's gotten a team to the Stanley Cup final. If San Jose here goes on a 5-game, 6-game losing streak and has just a bad November or December, you got a good chance that he's going to they're going to say, okay, let's see what you can do here, Pete. Come on, get this team back together. But what's the point with a guy who's never been able to do that before? And again, we talked about Hitchcock, how he probably earned that right. But a young coach, even, you're like, okay, this is a young coach, never played in the NHL before or coached in the NHL before. Let's see what he's got. Let's see how he can rally the troops here. You've seen this with Mike Yeo. You know what's going to happen, and it's not going to be a good outcome.
And it's been a while since I've seen Blues Nation this pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It seems like everyone, everywhere, is super mad about everything all the time.
It's true.
It is. It is.
It's true. And I don't think people are constantly calling for Yo, and there's not too many times where Blues Nation is united online.
Right.
Mr.
Blues Hat pointed this out the other night.
He did.
In his several years of doing this is the first time he's seen all of Blues Twitter united on one point.
Yes.
How many different hashtags do we have now?
Yo must go is the big one.
Go. Yeah. Bring Q to the loo.
Bring Q home.
Yeah. And they're never are they united on a front like this ever. And it's like, what would you say the percentages is? Like 98%?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's massive.
Except that
again,
everything.
Listen, we can sit here all we want and say, the fans. At the end of the day, they're not going to listen to the fans at the end of the day. But again,
to be honest, hold on real quick. The fans, the attendance is not. People aren't showing up to games either.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to listen to the Twitter fans. They're going to look at the numbers and they're going to say, okay, when we see the numbers here, we're losing money. And okay, so what's the problem? Well, on social media, pretty much everyone in the free world hates Mike Yeo. Okay, so there's problem one. Let's get rid of him and see what happens. And correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I should do the research on it. But when they fired Davis Payne and brought in Ken Hitchcock, didn't the attendance instantly go up? Because people were like, "Whoa, they're actually in a win now mentality."
Oh,
they're
God.
bringing in a coach like him.
Yeah. Can you imagine it'd be like getting Riley again. The all of a sudden the hoopla and the optimism on the team is like, oh my God, things are different now. We're going for it.
Right. You're instantaneously putting butts in seats.
Right.
And so our buddy STL Blues History tweeted early today, useless stat of the day, or is it? St. Louis Blues have reported attendance under 17,000 in 4 of their last 7 home games. this season, in the previous 110 home games combined, they only had 4 crowds under 17,000. So there's the economic argument for why the Blues won't sign Joel Quenneville or bring Quenneville in, because he's too expensive. He's going to be way too expensive to afford. That may be the case. But if it's not Quenneville that's going to come in, they're going to have to make the decision and try to bring somebody in who will energize the fan base and try to shake this.
Here's the thing too, is that Quenneville, I think, made $8 million with Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I don't know what Yo makes. I don't know if the Blues made that public, but
they don't.
Yeah. So it's substantially more than Yo's making, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I'd be willing to say over twice as much, but
he's also going to get paid out that contract unless depending on how the contract was structured.
Well, I've heard if he does accept a coaching job somewhere else, the Hawks are no longer under contract for that, on the hook for that contract.
No.
I don't know if that's true. That's the rumor. But and to be honest, someone brought up a good point that if you bring in Quenneville, say you pay him $8 million a year, he's the highest paid player in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
If you count the coach as a player.
Right.
So all of a sudden, you've got these high-priced players on the team that are now no longer the most expensive. They're no longer the highest paid players in the organization. They're second to the coach. Oh, the coach is making more money than me. That could play into the amount of respect that the coach gets from some players.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
Is being a better team, getting better production from certain players, worth an extra $5 million to pay your coach? I mean,
and can the Blues afford that? That's
right.
a big question.
Well, they can afford it because it doesn't go against the cap. But
right,
whether or not ownership wants to pay that,
can Tom Stillman afford that?
Right.
That's
because he would still be paying Yo too.
Right. Yes, true.
You're paying Joel Quenneville $8 million, let's say, and you're paying Yo, let's just say even $2 million. All of a sudden, you're paying $10 million for your head coach.
Yeah, I know. That's true. Unless Yo gets gets a coaching gig somewhere else, and then
if his contract is structured that way,
right? Which I think people are saying Quenneville's was. So if Quenneville gets a coaching job somewhere else, Chicago is no longer on the hook for that contract, according to what people have been saying. That's not confirmed or anything.
I would imagine that's true for probably a lot of coaches, but again, Doug Armstrong is not the best at making up contracts.
No, he's not. But Jeff Jones said tonight that Darren Dreger on NBCSN said tonight he thinks that Q wants to step away for a while and recharge, but mentions the Blues as a team that could step up immediately. In fact, the Blues are the only non-Hawks team. I'm not sure what that means. He mentions. So he wouldn't be surprised if Quenneville took his time. Which I thought, if I were him, I'd take my time. I would.
Oh yeah.
I'd take at least a couple weeks, and at least.
Oh yeah.
Go on vacation. I mean,
hell yeah.
But then again, some teams
through Thanksgiving.
Some teams might not want to wait. Like if the Blues are considering making a coaching change, they might not want to wait too much longer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Right.
Which
and that's the bargaining aspect of this. The Blues are getting desperate, and Quenneville's not desperate. So he could definitely demand a lot more than.
Are the Blues desperate?
I
mean,
Blues,
they should be. They should be.
Well, if fan hatred is any barometer, yes, we're hopelessly desperate. But no, I think the we're getting very, very close to panic button time.
Well, I will say that if I'm Joel Quenneville, you guys mentioned that he might be taking time off. If I'm Joel Quenneville, I definitely am. You let that contract play out. You recharge your batteries, like Darren Dreger said, and next summer you've got about your choice of about 20 teams would probably be willing to hire you. I mean, I'm not saying that many teams would pursue him, but if he went to the Anaheim Ducks and they don't make the playoffs, and he said, "Hey, I'd like to coach in California," okay, you're hired. I mean, he could pretty much go anywhere he wants because anyone's going to hire a guy that has the resume he has.
I agree. Here's the deal with as far as the Blues are concerned. Say the Blues struggle for the next handful of games and they decide they want to fire Yo. We don't know what Quenneville's thinking. What if Quenneville would absolutely love to come back to St. Louis? What if St. Louis were his number one option? Okay. Just a scenario. So the Blues would need to hire somebody else if Quenneville is going to wait until the offseason to make a decision. So the Blues would go interim coach until the end of the season.
Yeah.
And then, but then all of a sudden you go an interim coach with a roster that's supposed to win now. That's a really weird situation.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically saying this year is lost.
Which, yeah, I think so. I mean, that's a really tough position to be in. And I guess you don't know exactly what Quenneville's thinking. I mean, there's hints from Dreger that as far as what might be going on in his mind, but you don't know what the Blues are, how close they are to making a move, if they're making a move at all. We don't know. I mean, there was a meeting today between Armstrong and Yo where they didn't discuss
practice.
Yeah, no practice. They had a meeting. They didn't discuss Thomas at all, which was weird. How do you have a long meeting, head coach and GM, and not talk about the guy that you have to make a decision on as far as like game number 10 goes? But whatever. So, and you wonder what was talked about in that meeting as far as his future here, if that was talked about at all. So, I mean, and how close the Blues would be to making a move. So it's really hard to speculate, and they're not going to tell anybody this until the day comes where it happens. So, in the meantime, we speculate. And I don't think the Blues are going to let this go too much longer. They can't let it go too much longer.
Yeah. Speaking on behalf of the United fan base, we don't want them to.
So last night's game against Carolina, the Hurricanes lost 4 straight coming into this game. Allen sits, Johnson starts. Schmaltz was in, Bouwmeester's out, Schen's out. He's day-to-day with and not physically capable of playing at a high level, according to Yo. So it doesn't sound that serious. That's a weird way to say. I've never heard that phrase before. He's not capable of playing at a high level. So he's not.
First of all, I want to say, going back to what we were just talking about with the coaching. Have you guys? I've never rooted for my team to lose, no matter what. Even when they were going for the number 1 pick for Eric Johnson, I've never rooted for them to lose. Last night, there was a big part of me that was kind of like, okay, Blues, just play the way you've been playing. Then you got to force the hand, right? I mean, Yo's out the door if they lose that game.
I said that earlier. I was wanting to force the issue. I wanted to see what would happen if we lost another game to a team that was struggling. They came in here and we actually really should have lost that game.
Right. And so they had the obligatory picture of Tom Stillman, and it was immediately after O'Reilly's hat trick goal.
Yeah.
And
unemotional.
Unemotional. And several people pointed out on Twitter, he must have much more important things on his mind.
Right.
And I mean, we talked about this, right? About how the NHL doesn't fire. There have been 2 coaches fired after wins. And, so it would have been a surprise had they pulled the trigger today, but it only in the respect that it doesn't happen often. If they would have fired Yo today, totally makes sense to me.
Oh, over the past couple weeks, it makes sense to me for him to fire him. But he said as far as Bouwmeester being out, he said, Yo says it's a shame Bouwmeester is taking so much heat with all he's battled physically. And he said he has not recovered fully from his hip surgery yet.
So why is he fucking playing?
That's what everyone is asking.
Not even why is he playing? Why is he on the fucking top pairing?
I know. You think you want to try and limit his play against the top line of the other team, or limit his minutes, or I don't know. Protect him. Protect his hip. If you have to play him, like I said, a fucking horse is loose in the hospital. It doesn't make any sense.
And let's be honest here. We talked earlier in the season about by what do we say? By December, Jay Bouwmeester is going to be out with a long-term injury, quote unquote. I think that's kind of what we're seeing here. This is the prepping us. This is the prep for surgery here. This is the, all right, Blues fans. Yeah, look here. This guy's been hurt the whole time. Get off his back. He'll come back again. And then soon enough, whether it's the next head coach or it's Armstrong making the call, oh, you know what? He's actually not healthy enough to play anymore.
It's not so much even Bouwmeester that I'm upset about. It's Yo, because
It's the usage.
it's the usage of Bouwmeester. I mean, if the guy, the guy's old. I'm upset at the way he plays, but that's not. He's trying. Just don't use him. Don't put him in a position to fail, and that's what Yo's doing. And it makes no sense to me at all. It's like he has no balls to play Bouwmeester on a third pairing consistently, or to scratch him consistently, or to not playing him if he's not 100%. There's too many coaches do this. They give way too much respect and to older veteran players when they really should be scratched, should be knocked down in the lineup, and not played as much. I don't. It's going to cost Yo his job, and he just doesn't get it. So, and Jim Thomas said that. Let's see, I talked about that. Korak said on Twitter, Bouwmeester indeed will be a healthy scratch against Carolina. Yo threw a nugget that some days here will allow him to get some more therapy on the hip, which says he's not all the way back from that. So then we cover that. So that again. So Shen's out physically, can't play. Thomas is in the lineup. So do you guys think Thomas is going to play on Friday?
Okay, wait. First of all, let me get back to that little nugget there with Bouwmeester. I just want to say, and not to completely talk about Bouwmeester the whole episode, but my problem with that comment there is that that's what not just this show, everyone has been saying. Don't play Bouwmeester every game. Give him a couple games off. You get back-to-back. You get 3 games in 4 nights, 3 games in 5 nights. Give him one of those nights off. And maybe he's probably going to be fine as a third pairing defenseman. But now it's after all these people. And again, I know they don't listen to the fan base, but everybody can see it. You got to rest this guy. You can't play him 82. And here we are in almost in mid-November, and the head coach is finally saying, yeah, I probably need to give him some games off here and there. Really? You think so?
I don't know. Maybe it's just me being a superstitious goalie, but I wouldn't play him again until we lose.
Oh,
I'm with you.
When he doesn't play, we win. So
yeah, even though the game against Carolina wasn't very good, we still won. So you don't look a gift horse in the mouth at this point. You just kind of roll with it.
Right. Same thing with the goaltending. Jake Allen doesn't get back in until Chad Johnson loses.
So you guys think that were any of you after the second period, the Blues have a lead, were you like, oh, somehow Jay Bouwmeester is going to come off the street and get back on the first pairing?
If he was in the lineup, he would have been.
Yep.
God, which is so sad. I don't know, whatever. But okay, let's see.
You asked a question about Thomas.
Yeah, I did. Do you think he's going to play on Friday?
Again, I think that it's a situation where you can't change the lineup. I'm with Bill, but I think they're going to. They're gonna sit him.
So
are they gonna send him down?
No, they're not gonna send him down. They're gonna sit on the decision.
They'll scratch him
if they can. If Shen's not available,
right? Well, if Shen's not available,
then they play him. They play him and they embrace.
So
him.
if Shen's not available for maybe 1 or 2 more games, they're going to burn a year of Thomas's contract, even though they might not do that if Shen's healthy.
there should be no consideration for sending this kid back to the O.
I agree with you. I think they should keep him up here. What they are going to do is not what they actually do, and what we think they should do is not often the same.
And maybe that ties into the whole discussion about, what happens with this team. If they're going to keep Mike Yeo and they're going to allow him to, relegate the guy to fourth line minutes, even though he's got the best vision and the best hands outside of Ryan O'Reilly so far this season, he hasn't been able to put up numbers because he hasn't been put in good position to be successful. But when he's been with Robbie Fabry, he's looked great. But if you're going to have Yo being the guy that's going to dictate it, I don't know, maybe he is better off not learning from that jackass.
In the YouTube chat, Spoon Fudge says, Coach Q will end up with another team. Stop dreaming. I love all these people that are so like absolute with their statements as far as like what's going to happen, what isn't going to happen. They're so like matter of fact, positive 100%. It's like they have instant information. It's like, you know what? You have your opinion. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying that he doesn't know. Nobody knows. I mean, Darren Dreger didn't know for sure. So he may end up somewhere else. He may end up here. We have no idea. Brian Luck says trade done for someone like Lucic. No, no. He's suspended. He got suspended tonight.
Somebody like Lucic? You mean Pat Maroon?
Not suspended. Yeah, he didn't get suspended. He got he was tossed for attacking. Who was he? Who did he attack? He attacked somebody tonight.
One of the Lightning players.
Yeah,
the kid. One of the kids, I think.
Yeah, he might get something for that. Let's see. Wow, a lot of talk here. I gotta scroll up. Let's see. Trade done for Lucic? No. Spoonfudge says you're nuts, Bill. Trade done. Are you nuts?
I didn't say that.
No, he was not. I read him backwards. That was to Brian Luck. He also says Johnson is not playing until he loses. I think he means he's not sitting until he loses.
That's what I meant. You know what I meant.
Are other local podcasts going to join you? I don't know. Maybe. If we open it up here soon, we should open it right now.
Let's ask this question.
We should because we're glazing over this game anyway. So
you said you want other local podcasts to join us. Who do you want to hear from, Spoon Fudge?
Yeah, right. High five, Jeff. Air five. There. Yes, smack.
Wash your hands. He's in Jersey.
Smell my hand. So smell. Let's see what else we got. So this. I mean, the first period was interesting because the Blues jumped out 2-0, which was great.
So let me tell you my experience with that.
Okay.
So I got home from work about 7:05, and it fell on me to cook dinner last night. Even though I'm getting home at 7:05.
This is a rant.
It's not really a rant, but so I had the game on in the background and I hear what's going on and checking in, watching a couple seconds here and there and like, okay, nothing. And then, dinner's ready, go eat dinner and come down to the basement to see what happened at the end of the period.
Oh,
there are 4 fucking goals in 5 minutes.
Here's the thing with that first period. The first, and Jeff, let me know if did you watch the entire game?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So within the first minute, those 2 saves Johnson made. The first one, impressive. The second one, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 arm saves, one left arm save, one blocker. And it was, the second one was amazing. It was a really, really good save. And I was thinking, and of course now with the goaltending questions we have, I instantly think, would Allen made that save? Everyone thinks that. And I was thinking, would Allen made that save? I would say no. Because I would say most goalies don't make that save. Not to say that Johnson is amazing and makes those saves all the time. he happened to make an amazing save that most goalies don't make. I would say Allen doesn't make that second save. And I would say we're down 1-0 in the first minute of the first period. That game could have gone completely different since we were outplayed for half the game.
I just think this whole segment speaks to how low our expectations are of goaltending right now.
Well, that and I think that
Not to take anything with Chad Johnson, was a good.
No, it was.
We've talked about before game-changing saves, and the Blues, again, not to completely shit on Jake Allen, the Blues need to play better in front of him, but at the same time, you need your goalie to bail you out. And that right there was a game-bailing save. He saved his whole team on that play, gave them confidence. They go out and have a great period after that.
And to talk about how the Blues respond to a nice save, the Hurricanes in that game, Johnson made a save. It went, it's barely a save. Shot off his pad, off the post, and then he made the rebound. Made a save on the rebound, and the Blues went down and Fabry scored his goal, the first goal since 2016. So immediately. So nice save off the post, and then a really nice save on the rebound, and the Blues go down the ice and score. That's something you haven't seen. A not really nice big save, and the Blues take the momentum, run down the ice and score. That's, I'm not trying to say that Johnson's a better goalie than Allen. What I'm saying is like what you said, Jeff. Momentum changing saves are a thing. They are a big deal, and they happen. And we haven't gotten enough of those from Allen. And we saw a couple in Carolina or against Carolina.
Let me correct you. We've seen one of those by Jake Allen, and it was on the play right before he was removed from the Blackhawks game, the third Blackhawks game.
Yeah. So anyway, that and the end of that first period was interesting. I love the fact the way the Blues responded to Carolina tying the game or making it 2-1 with what was it 26 seconds to go, and then O'Reilly scores with 5 seconds to go. That was fantastic.
And to me, that's a sign of a really good team. And I'm not saying the Blues are a really good team because they're not right now, but that's what you see out of the good teams. They give up that goal late in the first period, and that is deflating. I mean, we've talked about deflating goals like that in the opening and closing minute of periods, and it's just either it hurts. It hurts so bad, and you're just thinking, okay, let's just get to the locker room. Let's try and come out and have a good second period, and you just kind of try and let the clock wind down after that goal scored. Blues didn't do that. They instead of laying back on their heels or letting the play come to them, they go on their toes and they go on the offensive and start climbing into that offensive zone and get a scoring chance and pop one in. I mean, that's what you want to see out of a motivated, good team. And I think it's fair to say we haven't seen that a lot from this Blues team. So seeing that fight and seeing that drive at the end of the first period was something that definitely you hoped resonated for the rest of the game.
I think it also helped. We had a power play, so that was as far as if it was 5-on-5, mailing it in was a lot more realistic of scenario to kill off the last 10, 15, 20 seconds, whatever it was. But you're on the power play, so let's try and get one here before the period's over. And O'Reilly's goal, I think, a number of his goals this season. I wanted to talk about this. We've had issues in the past with players. Well, oh my gosh, we got a whole bunch of great scoring chances, and we just couldn't finish. How many times in the past couple of years, we say that? Mm-hmm. Oh, great chances, out chance of the team. We just couldn't finish on enough goals to win. And O'Reilly is the guy that finishes.
Right. He's buried everything.
Yes. He or how many times you hear the broadcast crew say, "Oh man, they just elevated like a foot, get over that pad." O'Reilly does that.
We live with this. Let's call it Paul Stastny syndrome.
Yeah. Everything's on the ice. Like, God damn it, you're a professional NHL hockey player. You should be able to, elevate that puck.
Yeah.
And take the goal is taking away the bottom of the goal. Then you should be able to elevate it if you can. And O'Reilly elevates it when he can.
Right.
Kind of the way Oshie used to when he was here. We would elevate stuff for no reason, which was, I mean, helpful. I mean, you never know when a pad's come out of nowhere on the ice and stop you.
Right.
So
And that, I mean, the release on that second goal, the goal 5 seconds ago in the first, what a shot. I
Yeah.
mean, it's coming back against the grain and he's releasing it before he comes across his body and picking a corner. That is a tough shot to pull off. And it was flawless.
granted that the goaltending by McGillicuddy, Hennessy, whatever the fuck his name is,
Oshak Hennessy.
Oshak Hennessy. I didn't think he looked very good, but that was a short. I mean, granted, nice shot by O'Reilly. He did beat him high, short. It was short side though.
Right.
Those aren't good goals to give up, but still, it was a very nice shot.
S. Curtis Oshak Hennessy McElhaney is not
Hurley.
is not the he's in the Jake Allen level of caliber of NHL starters,
Yeah. And
and that he shouldn't be one.
right. And you knew coming into this game that that Carolina took a lot of shots. They led the league in shots. They averaged 41 shots a game or something like that. It's nuts. So and they got 39 on us last night. Outshot is 39-20. Damn near, pert near 2-1. And we won 4-1.
Because we got saves.
We got saves and we were opportunistic on our chances, and they didn't get great goaltending. So the combination of all that is a win. I think if we played the way we played, if we play against San Jose the way we played against Carolina, we'll lose. But
Oh, definitely.
yeah,
That's another Minnesota drubbing.
yeah. So I think the Blues need to be a lot better. I hope they realize that. And O'Reilly touched on that in the post-game interviews. He said we had a terrible second period, and they did. So and they also had a bad third period too. Well, not as bad, but they're outshot. Let's see, 25-9 over the last two periods, second and third. And Johnson stopped 38-39. So Chad Johnson's stats this season now are he's 1-2, 1-2-0 with a 2.47 GAA and a 9.19 save percentage. So his numbers got bumped up dramatically from last night's game. Small sample size for Johnson. So a great game is going to reflect heavily on his numbers. Jake Allen's stat this season, 4-3 with a 3.99 GAA and an 8.79 save percentage. 3.99 GAA.
One game.
That's like twice what you want it to be.
One game played in. We have 3 goals.
Grant Fuhrer had those numbers, man, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, Grant Fuhrer's a Hall of Famer. He had those numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about eras. Let me explain the era to you.
Yes. How many times do I have to say it? You cannot compare pre-Patrick Waugh goaltending to post-Patrick Waugh goaltending.
Right.
And again,
It's just
my plug for why Patrick Waugh is the greatest goalie of all time is because the era swung on him.
Back in the day, back in the pre-Waugh, a 9 save percentage was good.
Mm-hmm.
Was real good.
Yeah.
You wanted to be 9 or better. And now it's like 9, you got to be 9-2 or better.
Yeah.
So
And Jake Allen has not been that.
no,
over
he's
his
not
career.
he's not even close this year. It's just
8.79.
It's really bad. Guy
That means 88%
Yeah,
stops.
right.
That means 12% go in.
So, and someone commented on, it might have been NHL Network or NBC Sports. I forgot where I heard it, but it was an interesting comment. It's like guys with 8.7, guys with, they were talking about Allen, and it was like, it was a little lower at the time, like 8.76 or whatever it was. Guys with this low of a save percentage don't stay in the NHL very long. They just don't. So,
Unless your name's Curtis McElhaney.
Curtis McGillicuddy.
Dr. McGillicuddy's.
Yeah, I had his vanilla liqueur.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. He has Dr. Pepper liqueur, I think, too.
He's got
Yeah.
butterscotch too.
Yeah.
It's quite good.
Yeah.
Put that in some hot chocolate.
Beauty.
So no practice today, which is Wednesday. They played soccer instead. They watched video and played soccer. Apparently, Jay Bomeister played soccer today for the first time
Ever?
one of the players that plays like the little soccer game they
Right.
play said, "Yeah, Bomeister played that. He never plays. He's never played before." I'm like, "Oh,
Hey, me.
He's not doing anything else, am I right?
right."
Uh,
So closed our meeting today. We talked about with Armstrong and Yo. Thomas wasn't discussed, which I find again weird.
right. I find it weird just that it's a talking point.
I find it weird too that Yo said that the decision on sending Thomas down or keeping him up was 100% on Armstrong. Yo has no, it's not his call at all, which is weird to me
Right.
because you're the head coach. You think you have some input whether Thomas is going to be useful to this team this year or not, or how get a feel for how Yo feels about Thomas. But I guess in the end, it's Army's decision, which is weird.
Just the whole thing seems weird. I was thinking earlier while we were talking about this that I wonder if that wasn't so much a closed door meeting as like a defend your job type job interview kind of thing, and Mike Yost coming out and talking to the press about it.
Yeah,
and Armstrong's like, "Yeah, we didn't talk about Thomas. I was expecting you to, and you didn't bring it up, you fucking moron."
like what they talk about. If what they talk about, they weren't talking about Thomas, or it's like, yeah. I mean, who knows? You wonder if his job security was talked about, or I don't know.
We
Coaches are hard to be fired.
Just wanted to let you know we can't afford Quenville. Don't worry about it.
That's a good point. The whole not affording him thing is initially something I didn't consider until I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh, what the hell you got to pay him, and it's going to be a lot of money. So, although, he's a few years removed from a cup. So how much can he really demand?
And
By the way, are you guys?
He's going to take a nice vacation, if not through Thanksgiving, through the end of the calendar year, and keep collecting that paycheck.
That might be too late for the Blues.
Yeah.
So.
Are you guys watching the YouTube chat here?
I've off and on. Oh,
there's
Lance is on here. Okay.
So there's a gentleman there, Steve Cropper, and if you go back through and you look through all of his tweets, I'm pretty sure he's watching this on a pretty lengthy delay because they're all about the Sharks. So I think he's Steve. If you catch up to this moment, you are on a lengthy delay, my friend.
He might be watching it from the start.
Yeah, he might be.
Because
he started at the start.
Yeah, you can start at the start.
Yeah, I know. It's just funny to be having this comments come through in a live show from an hour ago.
Lance is in the chat. Hey, Lance. Shout out to Lance. Yeah, Steve Crop. Sharks do not seem to hold a lead. Oh, wow. Yeah, Brian Luck. Steve Cropper is reacting like Jake's glove. Nice. If we had awards to give away for the YouTube comment of the game, I think that might win.
Oh, winner, chicken dinner.
So, as I mentioned before, Yohan Thomas, he said he actually thought last game was a bit of a step back for Thomas. He watched some video with him today. Obviously, he made a nice play to get an assist there, but the complete game has to be there to be a centerman in the National Hockey League, which apparently doesn't apply to defensemen.
And Mike Yo knows this. Why?
It sounds like this is a soundbite. This is like, oh, you got to play a complete game in the NHL if you're going to play in this league, unless your name is Bomeister or Pietrangelo or
because they've earned it,
or Berglund or anybody else I've played in the past.
You guys are missing the fact that he specifically said centerman.
Yeah,
so it only applies to centers.
Sure. He did give him an out. I'll give you that.
Yep. You can play any kind of game you want as a defenseman.
Apparently.
Yep.
Apparently.
Nashville just scored 2.8 seconds to go in the second on a power play. Beautiful, beautiful shot at Forsberg. Disgusting.
I'm going to tweet out the link to join us on the show. You guys want to join us to talk some hockey real quick? We'll open up for a few minutes here at the end of the show.
I do want to emphasize the word quick because it is past midnight where I'm at, and I got to be up early. So
Well,
let's roll through.
I fail to see how that's my problem. But
It's past midnight in Jersey.
It is.
there you go. So yeah, we'll jump on, give your 2 cents, and then then let Jeff go to bed.
Thank you.
Yeah, we check out the Twitter account at LGB Radio, and the link to join us live on the air is on there. So if any of you guys want to join us for a little bit, you can. So Blues social media fails. So we got a few of them, and I don't want to do the first one now.
This is your thing, though, man.
It is my thing. It is my. Okay, I will do it. I'll do it. So I'll do the first one. Somebody else can take the second one, because the second one's funny. This one's more serious. Okay. So our friends over at the Blues Hockey Podcast, which we had who was it? Dan Buff a week or two ago tweeted out something about folks just retweeting reporters like news and announcements and things, and without any kind of a, put their own twist on things. It's kind of weird. So Korak tweeted out before the Hurricanes game. He says, Chad Johnson off the ice first. We'll get the start tonight. And then a Twitter account called The Goalie Project then retweeted that, commenting and saying, Chad Johnson confirmed. It's like, yeah, we know. You don't want to add like your own little comment to that. And then our friends over the Blues Hockey Podcast, which they're better than this. They can do better than this. They said, Allen gets a game off, and then tweets it out. I'm like, I want to give these folks a piece of advice, and this is what I do. You can do whatever you like, but I think this is a good rule to live by. If you're going to retweet something that someone like Korak or JR or Jim Thomas tweets out, don't retweet it and say the exact same thing they say. That's weird. That's weird to me. Retweet it with a comment, with a be funny, or put a spin on it, or disagree, or something. Comment, give your take on it. Don't just retweet the same thing they say. That's really weird to me. It's like, okay, yes, see this, everybody? Korak says that Johnson's starting tonight. Here you go, guys. Johnson's starting tonight.
So guys, maybe I'm echoing.
What?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I gotta switch it out. For some reason, this works in Hangouts. There you go, Jeff. You should be fine now, hopefully.
Okay. Let's hope.
There he is.
So I want everybody to stay tuned for Kurt's next show, How to Tweet Podcast.
Yeah, because I'm an expert at this kind of thing.
No, guys, it's going to be Kurt's guide for dummies on how to.
I'm sorry, sir. We're yet to introduce you.
Yeah,
Hey, I could tell you were going to.
don't make me get the hammer out, Lance.
Damn it.
This is Lance from the Drop Podcast who's joined us. Thank you for joining us, Lance. How are you this evening?
I'm doing fine. How are you, gentlemen?
I think I can speak for us all when I say we're fine but frustrated.
It was a win last night, but it wasn't a good win. But a win's a win.
Yeah, win's a win, but you want them to play better.
A win's a win, but if it keeps Yo employed, is it a win?
Yeah, that's really it. Yeah, that's a good point.
I've been kind of struggling here with myself, thinking I want the Blues to win, but do I want them to win too much under Mike Yo? Or do I want them to kind of tank a little bit and see if they can get Coach Q in here? I'm just struggling.
Lance, I'm going to be with you. I was actually struggling with myself a little earlier tonight too.
I bet you probably were, and probably a lot of different ways.
So asking the Blues to kind of semi hoping the Blues lose, is that what the phrase means? Can't win for losing? When they win a game that you kind of want them to lose in a weird way, to force the issue with maybe a coaching decision that may be being made soon. You can't win for losing.
Yeah.
You may have cracked the code on that one.
I have. It's the Da Vinci Code, and he's cracked it. I wanted to talk about Coach Q, and one thing that people aren't talking about is, everybody wants him here. I don't think there's any Blues fan that doesn't want him here. But does Coach Q want to be here? Does Doug Armstrong want to give up some of his control? You guys just talking about, the whole Thomas thing. Does Armstrong want to give up control? Does Coach Q want to be here? And by the way, he's still under contract for the rest of this year and the following year with Chicago. The Blues would have to get permission to talk to him from Chicago. Is Chicago going to want to do that?
Yes, because it gets them out from underneath the contract.
Yeah,
but it also gives their rival a very good coach.
Well, if they consider him a very good coach, they shouldn't have fired him.
Well, I think that's just the GM talking there. The GM of that team, since he came in, him and Quenneville have not gotten along very well. He's done things that Quenneville didn't like. And don't get me wrong, I want the guy here, but I think the Blues fandom on Twitter and Instagram are asking the wrong question. It's not as how quickly can we get Coach Q here? The question is, does Coach Q want to come here?
That's the $1 million question. Well,
$7 million question.
Yeah, the two $4 million questions are: would Quenneville come here, and two, is Armstrong close to firing Yeo?
Yeah.
So we don't know either, and nobody does. So yet, which is why we're talking about this. So I think it's something that when an entire fan base is behind it, I mean, there's something there. I mean, it's not too often you see this many people rally and be on the same page. I mean, really, this is nuts. I've never seen this much one-sidedness with anything on social media, except for now. When there was the anti-Hitchcock folks for a while, that that wasn't a massive movement. There was a bunch of people, but it wasn't massive. This is massive. And rightfully so, I think.
Can you remember the last time that Blues Nation was this united? I mean, I know we talked about it earlier, but I can't think of a situation that people, even the Retire 44, that is a divided subject, which is crazy to me.
I don't understand that at all.
I don't understand that at all either. That shouldn't be divided.
This is not a divided subject by anyone.
No, and I think that means there's that, and that's telling. I mean, it's not. It should be telling, as far as the state of the Blues goes. I mean, the fans. I mean, when there's this many fans around that rally around the same and are backing the same thing, there's substance there. There's something to that. It can't be ignored either.
No, I don't think it can be ignored either. And the only thing that concerns me is there's other teams that are going to want him, and there's got to be at least 3 or 4 other teams that want Mike Yeo. I mean, the Oilers, they're not happy with their coach. The Red Wings want to win. The Ducks and Randy Carlyle, that's a dysfunctional situation. I think there's other teams he might go to, but my whole thing is this. He's had success here, not Stanley Cup success. Does he want to come back to St. Louis and try to get that cup? But I think it's a win-win for him, because if he comes back to St. Louis and they don't get a cup, but they're constantly in the top couple teams and they compete every game, and he's got them playing well, and they make it to the second round of the playoffs most years, I think for the longest time, most Blues fans, at least for 3 or 4 years, would be happy with that. Yeah, we won a Stanley Cup, but I don't think anybody's happy with Mike Yeo's coaching job.
No, I think that's a safe statement to make.
Universally accepted truth,
right? The second, let's clear out and finish the social media fails here. The second one we got was a Sabres fan on Twitter talking about replied to a tweet from the NHL. So the NHL tweeted out a hat trick Ryan O'Reilly about last night's game with the Hurricanes, and a Twitter account called Sign Skinner Now said Sabres still won the trade.
Kurt, real quick before you get into that, I had 2 people from Buffalo tweet me and basically said the same thing, that the Sabres are a better team than the Blues by far. And they are a better team with Tage Thompson, Sobotka, and of course, Berglund. I tried to get them to maybe go in a different route and say, listen, you're not a better team than the Blues. You've played 2 more games and you've only got 3 more points. Number one. Number two, with O'Reilly being gone, maybe some other guys got the opportunity to play. But to say that Berglund, Sobotka, and Thompson have made you guys a better team, I think you really need to look at what you got in return and what you lost.
I mean, it's really a stupid thing to say. I think that it's the homework comment of all homework comments. The Blues got the better player in the trade by far. He's playing out of his mind better than anybody that Buffalo got. The Thompson's not even playing every game.
Nope.
And he's the best player they got in the trade. Berglund and Sobotka combined have 4 points or something like that. So
yeah, yep, I think 4 points, a total of 2 or 3 goals between them.
Yeah. So it's not good. So I mean,
but it's also not March yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Berglund's good for a half dozen goals in March, right?
Yeah.
He's good for 6 or 7 goals in 12 games in March. Yeah.
At least 8 goals in March.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of, guys? It reminds me of when Doug Armstrong pulled off that Braden Shen trade. You don't know how many people from Philly tweeted me and said, you guys just got scammed. We got Laterra in a draft pick and you got stuck with Braden Shen. He's not a top 6 guy. What is wrong with you guys? And I even got that through part of last season.
What was the name of the Jeff, the lady we had on from Philadelphia?
I'm drawing a blank.
Stephanie Driver.
Steph Driver. Yep.
Yes. She was basically laughing about Laterra. And that was great because she's on a podcast there and she helps she does some web stuff for, I don't know, it was SB Nation, I think their Philadelphia site.
Yep.
So so she was basically, on board with our sentiments towards Laterra. So I think some of the you're going to have your Homer fans make your stupid comments, which is what we saw here, and which I'm sure what you were in contact with there, Lance. So
sure.
That's which it's fun to talk about, but
Yeah.
I would imagine that cannot be the majority opinion.
Well, and another thing I wanted to say is I was just thinking about this the other day. I know I haven't brought it up before. Do the Washington Capitals sit there and look at the waiver wire and what guys are available and go, hey, he played for the Blues, let's get him? How did Yashkin get to be on the Capitals roster?
Yashkin can, it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a defensive forward, he's a fine defensive forward.
Same thing with Berglund.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather have Yashkin than Berglund.
I think Yashkin's more consistent and more physical. I think Berglund can be physical, but a lot of times he's soft.
Plus Berglund's more expensive.
Yeah. Did Yashkin make the top line tonight? So there was speculation that he was going to.
Did he really?
He did. Yes.
All right. Whatever.
Yeah, I liked what I think it was St. Louis Game Time tweeted when I cannot pronounce her name, but the Capitals beat writer.
Kardashian.
Yeah, her. What Bill said. She tweeted that out, and then I think it was St. Louis Game Time retweeted it with a funny comment of you guys want to tell them or should we?
Yeah, I saw that. The last social media fail we got is from Lance. No, I'm kidding. It's from it's from the same guy, Cyan Skinner Now, who said whose handle is All Things Sabres, by the way. And it was in response to a Blues comment. So imagine it was a Blues comment that made a comment about O'Reilly, I think. So imagine having almost 1,500 followers and only having 1 like on your lame attempt at a comeback. The Blues suck. Get over it. Well, I think this is funny. The last part of it is the Blues suck. Get over it. This is coming from a Sabres fan. So Buffalo, over the last 5 full seasons, where have they finished in the division? 8th, 7th, 8th. Look, and I said this and whatever. Neither team has ever won anything. So, but get the fuck out of here with your Blues suck nonsense, because You're a Sabres fan. The Sabres have been the epitome of suck for the past 5 years. Haven't finished over 500 in the last 7 years.
You're squandering a generational talent in Jack Eichel.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
You're screwing the pooch, and you have been screwing the pooch for 5 years, debatably 7 years. So it's like just keep your fucking mouth shut.
And another thing is, Kurt, I think in their first 12 games last year, they only got a couple ties and a couple wins. They had to go out and get 3 Blues players just to be where they are this year. I mean, they got the Blues cast-offs, and it made them better.
Vladimir Sobotka was on their second line the other night.
Oh my God.
Yep. So I thought that was funny. Sabres fan telling the Blues that they suck.
Yeah, you know what the whole telling thing is about the former Blues players on the Sabres? Watch the highlights. Watch the condensed game and watch the recaps. You don't ever see Berglund or Sobotka or Thompson on those highlights. Hardly ever have I seen them. So they're not really a big part of that team. I'm not saying Buffalo sucks this year. I'm just saying what the Blues gave them was not really that much.
Our next show is looking like Tuesday the 13th, prior to the game versus the Blackhawks the following night, or maybe a post game show Wednesday with the Hawks. I don't know. So either Tuesday night or post game Wednesday. We'll talk about it.
I don't have a preference.
We'll coordinate schedules.
Yeah.
Hey, so something we didn't mention, and I'm sure that those of you listening live have probably seen us tweeting about it, but we did have a special bonus show last Friday. We revealed the new Let's Go Blues song by Smash and Gene Hackman. So just want to point that out for anyone listening live that may have missed that news. So go over to iTunes, Google Play, or letsgobluesradio.com, wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you download that episode, because that is the only place right now where you can hear the new Let's Go Blues song.
Yeah, we should have mentioned that earlier. Yeah, that was a good deal. That's a neat thing.
And guys, that's Gene Hackman, not Gene Hackman, the actor, just to let everybody out there know. So
I would like to hear Gene Hackman sing that song.
That would be great.
Are you a Mississippi Burning guy or a Hoosiers guy?
I'm a Mississippi Burning guy. I love that movie.
I like both.
They're good movies, yeah. You know what I love about your show? Bill's always on his calendar, always on his phone.
He's always thinking. He's
Yeah.
always
Yes.
planning ahead.
He's thinking a step ahead.
Yeah. Getting caught up on my news.
Well, thanks for having me on tonight, guys. I didn't get to listen to the whole show, but thanks for giving us a few minutes. I know Jeffrey there keeps looking up at the clock like he's going to melt or turn into a pumpkin or something.
No, I'm
in New Jersey, they turn into crab apples.
I'm just actually watching NHL Network, to be honest. But thank you for the concern.
We Lance, we had on the guys from Teal Town, USA, the San Jose Sharks webcast. So we talked a lot about the Sharks and the matchup tomorrow. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I have to go back, and when you guys finally download everything, I'll rewatch it.
Awesome. I think that'll do it for this show, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Lance. You want to tell everyone how they can find you, interact with you, and find your show?
You can find all the episodes on droppodcast.com. You can email me at lanced@droppodcast.com. Also on Twitter at Drop Hockey Show.
I just want to point out, too, that here on NHL Network, they're showing some Martin Brodeur clips, and there was an Eric Weinrich signing.
What jersey is he wearing?
He was wearing a New Jersey Devils uniform.
Oh, all right.
Ah.
Yeah, that was his longest tenured team, right?
Wasn't the Blackhawks?
Was he on Philly?
Yeah,
he was on Philly too.
He was on Philly, Chicago, St. Louis.
I think Blackhawks was his longest tenure.
I thought he was with the Devils longer.
Yeah,
he played with some good teams.
He started there.
I mean, some historic franchises: Philly, Chicago, St. Louis.
Good, solid player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Earlier on NHL Network, and part of the reason why I was a little bit late to the show, Youngblood.
Yes.
Oh, was it?
Youngblood? Even Yeah, even though it's the TV edit and you don't get to see the best part.
Yeah.
What part would that be, Bill?
Oh,
Yeah.
No, we were watching that earlier too, but I do want to point out that Eric Weinrich, 356 games with the Chicago Blackhawks, 173 with the New Jersey Devils. Actually, 203 with Montreal, and then 215 with Philly. So Chicago, then Philly.
Then Montreal, and then New Jersey.
Yep.
How many games in a Blues uniform? He was here, right?
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
One
85 games.
85 games. So a little over a season.
Yep, he wore the yellow tinted visor with the Blues.
Yeah, that's right. I like that for some reason.
Yeah.
And Kurt Giles, yellow laces.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that'll do it for this week's episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Thank you to Lance again for coming on from the Drop Podcast. For Jeff Ponder, Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. That will conclude this week's broadcast of Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Cue to the loo.
Cue to the loo. Yo must go.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available. A look at fourth. I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number one. Now there's no more